Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, my fellow friends and bookworms. There's no surprise here. Do we need to rename this podcast if you're going to be on every episode?
Maybe.
Or maybe we should branch off, do our own.
I think so, yeah.
You think so? That wouldn't be that bad.
I mean, I guess I'd tolerate it.
Don't act like, oh my God, stop it.
I'm just matching the energy you gave with that. I guess it wouldn't be that bad.
We'll have to workshop a name.
It can be done.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome
Happy
back.
rainy Sunday.
Rainy Sunday.
It's so cozy.
We have missed all of you. We've been meaning to record for a couple weeks. Call it even a month.
Life gets in the way.
Life does get in the way. We had a pretty
eventful.
You know what my
month.
word of the month has been?
What?
Ooh, do you have a word of the month? I know what yours is. Okay, this
Go
is
ahead.
mine is tumultuous.
Tumultuous. I don't know if I've heard you say that.
I keep
Do you
saying
think it a lot?
I think it a lot, and I keep saying how like just life with like work and health stuff. I keep saying we're in like a tumultuous time in our lives right now. At least for the
maybe
the
I have
past
heard you
couple
say
months.
that.
What's your word?
Foul. You know that?
I know.
I was talking about it last night. How I just keep saying that's foul.
Everything
So
has
foul.
been foul.
Yeah.
Yes, that's.
I like that word. It's underutilized.
It's underutilized. It's kind of underrated, and
is.
it's one of those insults that just kind of sting you a little bit.
Yeah, because it's underutilized, right?
Yeah,
And
I
it's
feel like if you meet someone and the way you describe them is foul, that's like
pretty
that's your
brutal.
soul, bro.
That's pretty brutal. I think it's worse than terrible.
Yes.
They're saying that person's pretty terrible. That person's foul.
Because when you think of foul, you think of garbage.
Yeah, there's something that defies the laws of man in that person.
Yeah, there's something unearthly about that person.
Something that, like, that's an insult that goes all the way back to
I
like
know.
medieval times. Foul, like, that's pretty.
You know what I think of? You know what that pings off in my head? Just
What?
like a ditch full of waste.
A landfill?
No, basically like digging a hole to poop in, you know what I mean? Like a waste
my
bucket.
God.
You know what I mean? That's what I picture, dude.
Oh, no. For me, it means many things.
Yes. We love words. Anyways, so today's episode's going to be a long book recap, and I'm recording it now so that I'm accountable, but I'll make sure to put all the books that we read that Corinne and I mention in the description below, just in case we talk about one and you might be interested in reading it. And then we are going to talk about our Icks.
Book Icks.
Book Icks and or life Icks. Life Icks that relate to the book Icks that we have stumbled upon. And that might tie it all in. We might throw favorites in there. We actually have a little engagement later on today, but if we have to pick up and do a little later, then I'm fine with that too. Does that sound all right, Corinne?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, I wonder. I was going to say something really dumb.
I mean, now that you've started,
Now
you
that
kinda
I've
have
said
to follow
it,
through.
I was going to say, should we go on a break first? But we already went to the bathroom, so you're probably like all reset already.
We're like 4 minutes in.
I know. You're right. I think we should just start out. Let's start out with talking about our last book club book.
Okay.
Lessons
yes.
in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis.
Yes. I liked that one a lot.
What did you rate it?
Let me look. I'm looking right now. I rounded it up to a 5 because
Ooh.
Goodreads doesn't let you do half ratings. It was
okay.
like a 4.5 for me. I really liked it a lot. And looking at the cover and reading the book sleeve, that's not one I would have ever picked up. But
Same.
because of book club, you know, we read it and I really liked it a lot. I thought it was really great. I thought it was going to be cringy.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. I
Yes.
think the writing was great. It was really beautiful. And I feel like we heard a lot of positive things about it.
Yes. And also shout out to Bonnie Garmis because she's one of those authors who's very receptive to us mentioning her and messaging her.
Oh, yeah.
And she'd always put hearts on all our stuff we tagged her in. That was I know we've only been a book club for like a few months, but that was a girthy meeting we had. We had like
I think
more
a lot of
like
people had
12
fun.
people at least.
Yeah.
And we had it at Maine Beer Company, had some pizza and some bevies, and our stations were cute as fudge.
They were so cute.
They were so cute.
A membership station, photo booth station.
Adorable.
Courtesy of Shelby. I mean,
I know.
those props were amazing. We had like baby dolls. You know?
Yes.
Like
little
I was
glasses.
gonna say babies. No, they were baby dolls.
We went to the nursery, got a few babies.
Aprons, mixing bowl, a whisk, a leash, like just a bunch of kind of little
lessons in
things
chemistry-esque.
from the book.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
And I don't think there was a person. Ooh, you know what I need to do? I'm going to pull up. I wonder if I can see it now, but I do believe the average rating. I don't think I can.
Look.
Oh, you can?
I got it, yeah.
On Fable?
I think out of the 3 books we have read so far, and we're not going to discuss this one today because we have yet to have the meeting on it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was our highest rated book club book so far between Addie LaRue, and I have some questions for you, so I can pull it up here. But I would say I think it was rated pretty highly. It was like a 4 point something.
I think so too. It was like 4.2 or 4.3, I believe.
It was.
Yeah. And while she's looking that up, I will say the feedback that I got from our members who are a little older than us, like Patty and Christine, they were kind of like gushing about how they lived through those times. Like they were children when all of that kind of stuff happened.
Right.
And they are very receptive to how times have drastically changed now. Like how a lot of that at that time, it's crazy to think how acceptable that was for Elizabeth to be treated that way. But that was just the norm. Can you believe that
I would have gone to jail.
Yeah.
I would have been in jail.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It was a 4.5.
4.5. That's
And
really good.
On that note, I think Addie LaRue was kind of similar in that way, right? Because that was even more set into the past, and she was expected to marry, be someone's wife. Like if a man became a widow, he was just going to marry someone else. And then you would be expected to just that was your purpose in life. Take that person's place. And if you're not married by like 23, you're a spinster.
Yeah.
Like, what? Thank God. Thank God.
We're moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
There are things that still could be changed, and I think our generation and the one under us are doing as good of a job as we're afforded to like bring up. I just saw something in Maine where they're attempting to pass a bill that will help decrease the wage gap, the gender wage gaps in, I don't know which companies or like what kind, but it helps disclose it to help employers disclose their salaries per person so that there can be better negotiations between men and women when being hired for a company, so that it kind of puts things into perspective. Like if your job description and if your performance is equal, if not better, than a male counterpart, then you should be able to, match that, which I think that's a pretty good thing. Not to get political or anything like that, but yeah, there shouldn't be that because we work our freaking butts off. But I rated it a 4.7, so I really enjoyed it, and that was
I liked it a lot.
I know, and I think a lot of people liked it.
One that earned a place in my library. When I say that, I mean like I buy a book, I read it, and then once I finish it, I have to decide, is this something that I'm going to read in the future and I'm going to like stamp it, or am I going to give it away?
I didn't realize that makes an impact on whether I stamp things or not, but I started doing that inadvertently.
Oh, yeah. For me, it's a conscious choice. Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
And if I'm like on the fence, I won't stamp it. I'll put it in the shelves and I'll kind of like think about it.
Yeah. I have a few.
And I'm like, I gotta get rid of these.
I pulled out a few books that I was going to give to None Such, but I'm debating. I think I'm going to, or I'll take it to the little free library down the street.
Yeah, I have to.
Yeah.
Plug for None Such.
Yes,
I gotta go down that way. I probably have some.
Yes.
That could bring there. So Yeah, I don't know. I really liked that book. I thought
liked
it was
it
really
too.
great.
Yeah.
I recommend it.
What did you read after? So why don't you do a couple books?
Yeah. So
do a couple books.
We could go month by month, too,
Let's do that. Yeah.
So March, I read 9 books.
Ooh.
And I'll quickly list those off. The first one was The Glass Sword by Victoria Aveyard. I don't know how to say her name. That's the second book in the Red Queen fantasy series. Lessons in Chemistry. The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware. That's like a suspense mystery about a missing woman or a death on like a cruise.
Okay.
Everyone knows your mother is a witch. I don't know how to say the author's name. I apologize. I'm probably going to mispronounce it. Rivka Galchin. A Court of Silver Flames. That was my favorite.
Yeah.
Out of the ACOTAR series. The House We Grew Up In by Lisa Jewell. Another kind of like mystery. The Many Daughters of Afong Moy by Jamie Ford. And A Man Called Ove by Frederick Bachman. And Marked, which is the House of Night series by PC and Kristen Cast.
Marked,
M-A-R-K-E-D.
Oh, yes. That was the throwback when you got from, were we at the Green Hand?
Yeah. And, we'll talk about this when we go through Icks. Yeah. Because I have some on that one.
All right.
But yeah, I do have to say from all of those books that month, the best one, my favorite one was The Many Daughters of Afong Moy by Jamie Ford. I loved it.
Tell us about it.
Basically this story, without like giving anything away, it like the themes are generational trauma with like a fantasy element, but also sci-fi. So it's about this woman, and I mean, again, it goes through generations in this family. And so I'm not going to remember, there's like 7 characters and POVs. I'm not going to remember the exact name, but one of the more recent generations, like you could tell every generation, they're like, it's having like a snowball effect, like everything they go through. And there's this, it's a little bit set to the future, like maybe 2045. There's this kind of like clinical trial where they can go back and try to like cure your generational trauma.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah. This whole process that they have, like taking a pill and kind of like going back in time in a way.
Wow.
And it just gave the POV of like every character, like every female member within that person's like family line. And it was just, I have no words for it. And it was really good. And I recommended it to someone and they listened to it through an audiobook. I wouldn't recommend that because in the end, if you're not reading it, it's going to get confusing because there's like, without spoiling anything, there's a constant flip through generations. And if you listen to that on an audiobook,
you're probably going to have
I don't think you're going to get
rewind.
it. Yeah.
Really have to pay attention.
Yeah. And that's something that you don't want to miss.
You know, I think when you started reading that, what drew you into it? Did you
cover.
See okay, that's what I was going to say because not only is it a beautiful cover, it's just ambiguous enough for me to be like, oh, that's beautiful, but I have no idea what this is going to be about.
Right. And when I read, I mean, I've said it time and time again, I'm a cover lover. But when I read the synopsis on the sleeve, like it mentioned generational trauma, mental illness, some fantasy, and I'm like, oh, those are kind of like some heavy themes. This is something I want to read. And I was intrigued enough that I bought it. And it's just sometimes there's just one of those books where you know you need to be in the mood for it and you need to be ready for it. That's one of them.
Yeah.
And I loved it. Immediately stamped it. And I'm like, I will be reading this again. And I'm going to recommend it to everyone. So that was my favorite. And I'd say second favorite would be A Court of Silver Flames. Gotta say, that was like
Cassian
the best out of that series.
Do you think that Sarah J. Maas like realized that would be So Flames?
I think
she made...
Maybe. I have to say, like, her writing's gotten better. I haven't read Crescent City yet.
No, I haven't either.
But I do feel like her writing has gotten better. And out of all the characters in that series, I think Nesta's like the most fleshed out. She had the biggest character development.
And she did so much. I know it's a thick boy, but
it is a big book.
Feyre had 4 books to develop plus more, but then
she was like kind of bland once you put her up against Nesta. Like,
yes. I didn't feel as like invested.
Yeah, and we'll talk about Icks, but the whole pregnancy trope, that's a big ick for me. That was a huge turn off. We'll talk about that later, but Jesus, that's one of my biggest icks.
What was the worst book you read out of those? Was it Everyone Knows Your Mother's a Witch?
I read that month was Everyone Knows Your Mother is a Witch. And you warned me.
I did.
You warned me. I have no excuses. No excuses. But I was hoping that maybe if I went into it thinking it was going to be not great, maybe there would be something redeeming about it. Yeah. No.
Yeah, I know. It was so disappointing. The cover was beautiful and the premise was pretty. It sounded pretty good. I'm a big witch hunt kind of gal.
And I like that too. You know, I like reading about it. I like, you know, all kinds of media for that. But
so disappointing.
I don't know what it was about it, but I think it was like rambling.
Yeah.
It felt kind of aimless. And then when it finished, I just felt like that's it. That's it.
There was no good resolve at the end. Yep, I feel you.
And I felt for the main character. I didn't dislike the main character.
Yeah.
I just felt like the other characters weren't that great.
Yes.
So sometimes, you know, a book isn't good. Like we'll talk about my least favorite book of April. But if I don't like the main character, I can't get into a book. Well, I realized with that one.
Yeah.
I could like the main character. I didn't love her. I could like her. But if the other characters aren't great.
Yeah.
That's also like a loss.
Yeah.
Like, not really.
It was too much. And then, oh my God, it kind of reminds me of I have some questions for you for reasons that I won't disclose yet. But it was like the jumping from one character focus to another. And then, you know how in that book, it gave little excerpts of what they were telling to the court?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, some of them were kind of, I don't know.
Oh, you're talking about Everyone Knows Your Mother is a Witch?
Yeah.
Yeah, when it gave excerpts of like...
This is like what they were saying, like they were almost like confessing to like how they knew that she was like interviewing for trial.
Essentially, the book is about like witch hunt, and they think the main character is a witch, and then they're trying to gain information on her, and they're going to all these villagers, and they're like, when did you know this person was a witch, or what have you seen? And then all these random people are giving like you said, like this feedback.
Yeah.
And some people are defending her, but I don't know. It was just introducing like a lot of characters.
Yes.
There was just something about it that was like, this could have been better.
Yes. It didn't, like you said, it didn't give me, like, it didn't plant roots like in my brain or in my heart that made me feel like, oh, I really feel for this character. And it could have been a lot more.
It was the most calm witch hunt I've ever read.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's what it is too.
I don't know if that was the reality back then, but I feel like it was probably a little more.
They could. She could have made it a little more. She could have put a little more zhuzh in it. She could have made it more interesting, a little more intense. Maybe that's why I didn't love it, because all of the ones that I've read, Year of Wonders, Manning Tree Witches, like. I know I've read a few more other than those, but it's either suspenseful or it's like creepy, or very high stakes. I do agree.
Yeah. And so those were my books for March. What about yours?
Okay, so I started out March. I finished the second book of the Scholomance series and the Naomi Novik. Guys, question for me.
Are you going to give that series up? Are you done?
That's a great question.
You were really struggling. I remember you really having like an internal conflict about this.
I'm still having internal conflict just reading my review on it.
And I will tell you, we have talked about this before in some other episode. I read one of her books, and that was the only book I have DNF'd in a good long time. It was Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. I tried it on an ebook. Couldn't do it, so I got the physical book from the library.
Okay, and here's the thing. We were talking about this earlier. This book has gotten amazing reviews, and the next book has gotten amazing reviews. I gave this one a 2.9 out of 5, and it is just the most dense. There's not that much dialogue. Like, weirdly enough, I love the characters. But the writing is what's worse. And the progression of the plot is not, it's not clear and it doesn't have a good flow. And the only reason I'm thinking of freaking picking it up, I need someone to also read this. I keep telling everyone.
Listen, when you had that second book,
I was reading it for over a month.
Oh God, that's like,
yeah,
not normal for you. I flipped through it. I remember I saw you had that copy. I flipped through it, stopped on a page, read it, and the writing was just so adolescent.
Yeah.
Like, I've read YA books and I enjoy them, but the writing was like an adolescent wrote it.
Yeah.
Like, it was amateur. It felt very amateur.
Yes.
And no offense. Like, I know I sound like kind of snotty, but there's really no other way to put it. Like,
no, because we're our age and we want something that, well, like,
you
pulls
read
us.
like V.E. Schwab, you read like Bonnie Garmus's writing, you read
Hanya,
like Sarah J. Maas, like all these other authors, and it's just like the sentence structure and everything is really great. But reading that one, just looking at that one page, I was like, oh my gosh.
And it sucks because there's so much potential, and that's what kills me. And I'll give it to her, Naomi Novik. Both of those books, what drew me in, she can write one heck of a cliffhanger. Like the redeeming qualities of these books are the characters that she has very descriptively like painted, and then it's like the beginning and the end of the books are the best parts, and like the middles they just freaking throw me for a loop. Anyways, not to go, that was probably my worst book of that month, so I'll start with that. Speaking of adolescent, I reread The Wrinkle in Time Quartet, and although that was my first introduction to like somewhat high fantasy, and I loved it, and it will never not be each of the books. I was kind of critical. I rated the last one, Many Waters. This is by Madeline L'Engle. I rated the last one a 3.5, which in my heart, that is like a 5 out of 5 series for me, just because I have nostalgia attached to it. But even though the writing is a little more, like you said, like adolescent and isn't as like deep or as meaningful, there are so many themes of like family, of betrayal, of like perseverance, motivation, like all of these things that I was reading when I was like 13 or 14, and I feel like that this is one of those series.
Flew over your head.
It flew over my head, and
the Hunger Games was that way for me.
It must have made me like who I am. Like when I think of the characters, like Charles Wallace, and like all of the. Like there's unicorns and these beasts, and just reading these names again makes me so happy. Like the Ecthroid, there's like, and it's so nerdy, bro. It's like there's math, there's like space, freaking astrology, and then there's like desert scenes and going back in time. Also going back in time with obviously Wrinkle in Time, but like even to the last book is weirdly. I feel like we could debate about it, but it's weirdly almost religious and goes back to like a Noah's Ark theme kind of story, which actually gets really heavy and a little bit, not NSFW, but it's like rated maybe like PG-13 rather than the rest. Like she calls one of the girls like a slut or something in there. And I was like, oh my God, I never even remembered reading this.
Like that was that was acceptable socially back then. Yeah. What else did you read?
So I read The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna.
Yes, I gotta read that one.
I read The House of the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klute. Okay. Oh my God, this was a girthy month. Okay, and then finally, the last book that I finished in March was The God of Endings.
Oh,
by
so those
Jacqueline
last two
Holland.
are bangers right there. I haven't read the last one, but
this is hard. I want to do the best book and the worst book of the month. So the worst was the Skullomance series, 2.9. That's even giving it more grace than I want to, and the only reason is because it still has me wondering if I want to read the last. But I am in a close effing tie between House of the Cerulean Sea and The God of Endings for Both of them 5 out of 5.
I mean, they're good in their own right.
Yeah,
they're not
you're right.
like it's.
You can't really compare
You can't
them.
compare them because I haven't read The God of All Endings, but I imagine it's like kind of horror, like gothic tale.
Yes.
And then Cerulean Sea is a complete opposite of that.
So God of Endings, it's like Addie LaRue meets Dracula.
I like that.
And
I mean, Cerulean Sea, come on.
I know. I keep telling everyone, you think freaking Addie LaRue was a female heroine? Jesus Christ, this woman is like...
That was my pick.
I know. So you need to read this. But the thing is, the writing here, Jacqueline Holland, she makes my skin crawl a little bit. Then again, I am a baby, and like with anything horror and like kind of like suspenseful, like I have a very quickening heart at little things like that. But it was so... like the eloquence of it, and it was very like unique the way that she wrote. And then it kind of is wrapped around this other story that goes into like abuse, because she's a she's an art teacher, and then there's a small child that is very talented and kind of seems like he's from a different world too. It also has it jumps back in time to her childhood up until now.
Like
just
Addie
like Addie,
LaRue,
just like Addie. But her story is wild, bro.
I gotta read that.
5 out of 5. One of our members is reading it now to take her out of a book slump, and it's taken her there.
Sydney?
Yes, yes. Oh my God, I'm so happy she started that one. But then you flip over to freaking House of the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune.
That book, highly quotable.
Not me, just freaking crying at work.
And we're talking about, like, 10 minutes ago, we're talking about, I can't like a book if I don't like the main characters.
Yeah.
Or I don't even like the supporting character. Like, I loved everything. Other than the bad guys, of course.
Yes.
I loved all the characters. I loved all the orphans.
They were all very essential.
Oh my God. They were so... Chauncey, the bellhop.
I know.
Get out of here.
He just wants to do his job and do it
Theodore?
well.
That was the little
Wyvern,
right?
No, the Wyvern, yes.
Saul was the
the
like larger kid,
yes,
who looks intimidating, turns into a Pomeranian.
I just think this could one of these days we can have like a book study episode where we just truly dive into one book. But like this book, as whimsical and beautiful and like easy to read as it is, it really does transcend itself. Like it's like a soft fantasy, but it goes in to found family, like being different, and how people will like attack you for not being like not going with the status quo and alienate you because you're different, and how you like with the main character just stuck in his 9-to-5 job, not being fulfilled or anything like that. It's weirdly so I don't know, it was more than just this little fantasy book.
So it really is like when you go past the surface.
Yes,
you don't even have to go that far because I think it's pretty overt.
I think so,
and maybe
too.
we should do a whole episode on TJ Klune, like between Cerulean Sea and The Whispering Door.
Yes, and he's coming out with another one too.
We gotta get on it.
Okay, that would be a wonderful. I am hooked.
Pride Month.
When is that? Is it next month?
June.
Isn't that also Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month as well? I think it is.
I think so. Oh wow, that's a lot. Hold on.
Oh my God, we're gonna have a big month. That's a 3-hour episode right there.
Every week.
Oh my God, that's wild. That's just something right there.
Oh my God.
I'm like,
bro, I already got
right?
books for Asian Pacific American Heritage Month.
You already have two ready for that.
May. It's May.
Okay, so Asian API is May, and then Pride Month is June.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, speaking of Asian American Pacific Islander months, I have one for April. So.
You do?
Yeah.
What are you reading?
I finished The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea.
Oh, okay. So you go next.
And Asian American Pacific Islander, I finished Afong Moy is Asian American.
Oh my God.
It is literally about a woman. I'm talking about the generations. I should have started with the first generation that the book covers, is inspired by like someone who existed in real life. And I believe woman's name was A Fong Moy. I might be wrong on that. I've read a lot of books since then. And it's kind of hard for me to like tack down all the tiny details sometimes, but inspired by the very first woman to land on American soil from China, and how she was, I mean, it's, pretty dark and upsetting, but it is about Asian Americans and how A Fong Moy started off like being toured around America, showing everyone her bound feet.
Crap. Yeah, I do remember that.
It's a heavy, deep book, but it's beautiful. So.
I need to read that soon.
I read a lot of Asian American Pacific Islander books. I read Pachinko.
You love me.
But did you finish up your March?
I did.
Okay.
So yeah, you go into your April now.
So April, I also read 9 books. Yes, I read a lot. I started off with Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. It was good. Was it my favorite? No. I felt like there was a lot going on, and I probably don't have a right to think that I mean, I have a right to an opinion, but I just felt like it was too much. But truthfully, realistically, I think all of that was going on back then. I think it was very like layered, and
that's a good word,
but it
too.
felt like a lot. Like what I didn't like was that we're getting all these characters, like they're introducing so many characters, but they never really dug in deep. It felt almost surface.
I can see how you would see that. And I think I'm going to let you keep going.
It was just like you're learning about, there are 4 generations, I believe. 4 generations. I do appreciate learning this side of history because let's be realistic. Like, let's real talk here. If people are talking about a World War II historical fiction, we're talking about Europe. People are focused on Europe. It's very Eurocentric. Like, I want the POV of someone who was in like Germany, someone who was in Poland. Like, but
that's a good point.
Yeah. You don't ever really get the point of view of like, oh my God, like I'm reading this. I'm like, I totally forgot, that Korea was taken over by Japan. Right? Like you forget that side of things.
And even me. I feel I don't know enough about that side.
Right. And so I did really appreciate reading that because it's kind of like, you learn about history in school, right? And then it's really just like, especially in Florida, surface level.
Yes.
You're not really getting like thinking about the tiny little details. Like when we focus on World War II, I can't even talk. We're thinking about like Pearl Harbor and learning about concentration camps, which are all very important stories. But I didn't really think about that aspect of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yes, back then Japan, that was an empire, right? They were, really just taking over all over the place. And reading that, wow.
Yeah.
That, I mean, because to this day, I think there's still effects of that, right?
I think so too. Yep.
So I really appreciated that. I thought that was important. But still, I just felt like there was a lot going on and I didn't really get to spend enough time with each character.
Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah. So that's kind of what took it away from me because I do appreciate learning more about characters, but it still wasn't the worst book. It was a good book. The second book I read that month was my worst book. I have some questions for you by Rebecca Mackay.
Yeah, I say Mackay.
Terrible.
Well, you can say it. Well, we won't dive into it, but terrible.
Yeah, I finished it. I gave it a 2. I felt I was being pretty generous.
I think you're being generous too.
We'll dive into that next episode.
Okay.
And then The Giver of Stars by Jojo Moyes. I thought that was good. Nice little story about some, based on reality historical fiction. Pack horse librarians in Appalachian Mountains. Something I did not know about, but learned about and thought was great. Then I read The Magic Fix by Mark Montanaro.
Okay.
I got that for free. He reached out to me and sent me a copy, and I thought that was a great fantasy book that was like comedy. It was a light read, which was good after some of the heavier books I've been reading.
Nice. A little palate cleanser.
Yes, good palate cleanser. And then I went right into the third Red Queen book, King's Cage. Favorite out of
Yay.
the series so far.
Good.
Because it was like kind of mid for me. And then that one, wow.
Oh, good.
That one was good.
Love that.
And then, Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail. That's the second book in the Bright Fall series. LGBTQ. Yes, it was very good.
Ooh, what did you rate that one?
That was a 5.
Let's go.
Delilah Green Doesn't Care is the first book.
I love cheese in the
It's
chat.
also was a 5 out of 5. And that one was, I mean, they're both like female, like sapphic romances.
Take a shot
Beautiful.
every time I say I need to borrow that from you.
If you told me today, I would have brought it.
I'm so sorry.
I'll bring it tomorrow. So good. I really enjoyed that a lot. And that, without spoiling anything, that took a character from the first book who you were like, ugh, she's kind of annoying.
Oh, and did she flip the switch?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Yeah, and you really, like, now you're inside this person's POV and inside their head.
Okay.
Just kind of like Silver Flames.
I love that.
Then I read The Little Prince classic. Loved
Take
that.
another shot.
You know, just had to read that. If you don't know what it is, look it up. And then, I read a book that everyone raves about. I was just at work on the little bookshelf. I'm like, oh, it's free.
Yeah.
Give it a try. Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid.
You didn't tell me what you rated this.
I gave this one, I believe, a 4.
Okay.
I gave it a 4. Now, I knew it was highly talked about.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it was about a band, and that without reading it or reading anything, online about this comparison, I kind of knew that it drew some influence from Fleetwood Mac.
Oh, yeah.
In the sense that I think, they had a lot of history together. Mm-hmm. There were some like relationships that were like kind of rocky and tumultuous, I'm using your word.
Love it.
And, you think about, I can't even remember his name, but, Stevie Nicks and the other guy.
The other character.
What's his name?
I have no idea.
They're writing songs about each other and singing them on stage. So it drew some influence from that. Now, what I didn't know about it is that it's written like it was a documentary. It's written not in like a narrative form, but like a script of a documentary. Like
weird. I did not know that either.
If you think about like what I can compare it to is when you're watching like about the film, right? Like Lord of the Rings or just any other movie, and it's the characters like, they're talking about this one
reflecting
scene.
on that.
Yeah, they're reflecting on it, and then it goes to someone else's POV, and then someone else's. It's like a transcript of a documentary.
Did you like that?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah. It didn't take it away from me any points. Like, I did like that. I just wish I could have been a little more inside the main characters' heads, because you get what they're telling you, right?
Yeah.
What they're telling the person who's interviewing them. I don't know the exact truth. Like, there's a lot of little things that happen in there, and it's like, okay, well, how much are you revealing of what really happened?
Yeah.
And I know they did make it a show.
That was my next question. I was like, does that make you want to watch the show?
I do. I do want to watch the show. And what's cool is that on the back of the book, like the last few pages, they talk about their songs that they sing.
Yeah.
And they write. And she put those songs and the lyrics.
Oh.
So, and now for the show, they made an album with all those songs. So it's cool to kind of hear it.
Nice.
So yeah, I definitely would watch the show. And then I ended the month with my favorite book of the month.
She was out here crying, bro.
I was really crying.
Unwell.
The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axie O. It's the first book I read by her. Oh, it was so beautiful. It is about this young girl. She is living in this village where they've been like ravaged by terrible storms for like 100 years. And every year, in order to try to appease the sea god, who they feel is in control of all this, they sacrifice a bride.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah. And this book gets right into it. You open up first page, first chapter, the action's already happening.
All gas, no brakes.
There is, all gas, no brakes. There is no easing in of, her life at home and in the village. No, it's straight up. She is on the boat. they're going to sacrifice her brother's like love, and
Oh
she
my
throws herself
God.
into the sea.
Jesus Christ.
was
No
good.
wonder why
Yeah.
you're unhinged, dude.
Yes, it was so good. And it does not divulge where in Asia that this is set, but it is like an Asian fantasy. And it's just really great. I mean, I was in the last 1 to 2 chapters. I'm like, okay, where's my resolve? Like, what's going to happen? Like, I was at the edge of my seat.
Poor Ryan.
Yeah. I'm just reading stuff. I'm reading my books and I'm going, oh, like, oh my God.
Whoa.
Yeah. Like, what's going on? Yeah. And it was so good. It had a pretty good rating on Goodreads. It 4.15 stars.
There we go.
38,000 plus reviews. I just loved it. Now it is YA. But it's not necessarily written YA. It's a little more elevated than that. Yeah.
Was it spicy?
No.
Okay. I'm just wondering.
For a friend.
Yeah.
What about you?
Wait, what was was that your top?
That was my top.
And what was your bottom?
I have some questions. For you.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to just list all the books that I read, and then I'll tell you
Go for
up
it.
and down. I read Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I have some questions for you, Rebecca Mackay. And then I go into my palette cleansers. I was on a smut palette. I was brushing my teeth for days just with all of these books. So I read Consider Me by Becca Mack.
Oh yeah, you loved that.
I loved that. Okay, wait, I'll just baby divulge into each. Demon Copperhead, 4 out of 5. It was intense. I almost needed a palette cleanser from that.
I don't
because
think I could read it.
It's
You were like very melancholy.
yes.
I don't think
It's depressing. It's deep. It makes you question like your upbringing, like just knowing that this main character demon has been through so much in his life, and it's like a coming of age for the boy who just very troubled in and out of foster homes. It's not a book you pick up where you're like, oh, I want to read this one real quick. You definitely have to put a lot of thought into this. And then Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. That was the first one I read by her, and she's very trendy right now.
She is.
That book didn't get me there, but I'd be willing to read
I don't
another
know
one.
about that one. Like, I don't know if I haven't read it. I don't know if I'd consider her best. Like, I read 2 of hers.
Yeah,
Daisy
Seven
Jones
Husbands is by
and
her too.
7 Husbands.
I heard
and
that's the one that
7
everyone
Husbands. That's tops.
loves. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I need to read that one next. I have some questions for you. Don't even get me started. We're not even going to start now.
Talk about it next pod.
I gave that one a 1.5.
Ooh.
I would even take it back. Actually, I'd give it a 1. I'd give it a 1.
Getting brutal here.
I know, right? Getting worse and
Move
worse.
past that.
Things We Hide from the Light, the second Lucy Score book.
I've been wanting to read that series.
Oh my God.
You told me it's not worth purchasing.
I don't think it's worth purchasing, but it was a great palate cleanser, like going hand in hand with Consider Me. It's just a really feel good, spicy read. And why is this spicy? Why is this spicy? But I think that Lucy
reading
Score,
a book and not knowing that's gonna happen.
her world she's created with her characters, we keep talking about like we want them to develop better. I like how she tied in the characters from the last book into this book, and it's only going more from there.
May I ask, is it focused on a different set of characters within that town? Okay, I do like books like that. Like, I didn't know that was like that. Delilah Green and Astrid Parker, that's like that. And then there's like a witchy series that's like that. Like a fun witchy series called Payback's a Witch.
Payback's a Witch. I'll have to.
And then the second
book
book is called From Bad to Cursed.
Oh,
I have both of them. You can borrow them.
You know what else is like that?
What?
The Consider Me series.
Oh, cool. I like when books do that.
Me too.
I have to say.
So I read book 2. That one was called Play With Me.
Okay.
Freaking
you can
horror
tell
dog
where that's
this
gonna go. All right, move on.
I I gave the Consider Me series and Things We Hide from the Light both 4 out of 5s. And I think it's situational too. No, not really. Because
sometimes it can be with a book, right?
yeah, like whether you're in the mood for it or not. It really hit me. I like them a lot.
Be whether you were ready to read it or not, or depending on what you read before that.
Yes. So maybe it was heightened a little bit.
Factors to it.
If you're in the mood for smut, Corinne, I really want you to read the Consider Me one, because what's interesting about Becca
I'm not
Mack,
buying it.
Don't buy it. It's on Kindle Unlimited. It's free.
I don't have a Kindle.
You don't need it. You can just do it on your phone.
I don't support Mr. Bezos.
Dude, it's free, bro. We're reading for free. Anyway, well, actually, no, it's a subscription. I think because it comes with my Amazon account. You're gonna use my Prime anyways. You might as well use my Kindle Unlimited.
I don't have a Kindle.
You don't need a Kindle. I read it from my phone.
Oh,
it's an app. It's an app.
Okay.
Yeah. But what's great about Becca Mack is, you know how everyone talks about like is he hot or is he just a man written by a female?
Mm-hmm. He's both.
He's both, because because the thing is, even if he's someone in the book is like a D-bag, you know what I mean? Like just to start, like for appearances and all that stuff. But then as he progresses and kind of changes, she writes him as a very like emotionally intelligent, like at the end he learns how to like love her and all this kind of stuff, and like support and understand, and like kind of confronts his own traumas, and it's just like, oh my god. But then I'm like, are guys really like that? But I still fell in love with him though. I think she wrote him really well for me to really end up liking the male main character at the end. So if you're looking for smut but also like an emotionally like intelligent guy to like, you know, a book boyfriend that you're like, god dang, he's actually a really good guy and he's super hot, then that's one of them to read.
Oh my god.
And then I have 3 more. Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. I gave that one a 3.6. It gave witchy House of the Cerulean Sea, but a little less enrapturing. It was also kind of like palate cleansing and a quick fun read, but I didn't feel as like my heart wasn't attached as House of the Cerulean Sea. But it was good. It was very cute. Last 2, Daughter of the Forest by Juliette Marillier and Beach Read by Emily Henry, my first Emily Henry book. Daughter of the Forest.
Emily Henry.
Can we take a moment for Daughter of the Forest? This is one of these ones that I need someone else to read. I know one of our friends from book club, Emily, she read it and she's the one who lent it to me. So thank you, Emily. This is out of this world. I did not it's so underrated. I've never heard anyone talk about it at all. And when I tell you it's Game of Thrones has a love child with Outlander mixed, like, and I said with a sprinkle of Lord of the Rings and Throne of Glass, because the female main character, she does go through like these trials and puts herself through like a bunch of pain to like save her family and like the kingdom and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, oh my god, it's so magical. And do you remember in Throne of Glass where who was it? Elaine? No, not Elaine. It's one of the queens that came to her when she went through the wall. Elena. There's like a entity like that, but they're freaking chilling and terrifying. And they're these women of the forest that are like influencing her because she has magic in her blood. Her and one of her brothers. She has 6 brothers. That's why it felt very like Game of Thrones to me, because like the Starks, like all of their siblings and all that kind of stuff. And then there's just turmoil. There's someone who's like freaking Melisandre, who's like cool. Unag, and she's absolutely evil. Oh my god, it's so good. And this gets into like how you were saying, all gas, no breaks. Like the first chapter, it does set the scene, like introduces you to their brothers and stuff, but immediately it's like, it's so good. The plot is so good. It's a trilogy, so I'm waiting on the second book.
Oh, it's not out yet.
Not. Oh, it is. It is.
Is it complete?
It's complete. It's
Okay.
complete. Yeah,
That's an ick for me when it's not. I got some thoughts about that.
Dude, it was so good. I'm very excited to read that one. And then finally, before we take our little break, Beach Read by Emily Henry. She is a like a rom-com romancy author that is viral.
I read The People We Meet on Vacation.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
How did you like it?
I liked it.
Yeah, that's what people
I have
say.
to say, I'm kind of like hesitant to read her.
Honestly,
so many people rave about it. I don't even want to touch it.
That's like a baby ick for me.
Yeah,
like a mid ick.
Oh yeah.
Like it makes me like I'm curious, but also like if you're hyping something up this much, it better be freaking good.
Yeah, it better deliver.
Yeah.
Or don't look at me.
Yeah, or like I feel like I'm like, you really recommended this book to me? But I will say, Beach Read, I'm glad I picked that up first because a lot of people were saying that was her best one.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah, that one and Book Lovers. Yeah, I see all over.
Yeah,
all over.
Someone told me that if I read Beach Read first, she's like, you probably won't want to or need to read Book Lovers because it's kind of repetitive because her style of writing and her genre is pretty much kind of like her genre. That's her niche, and it's kind of like the same.
Overdone.
Yeah. And she just came out with a book, Happy Place. Have you seen this all over your freaking Instagram too? See, that's right there. That's like baby ick for me too.
Don't want to read it.
I don't want to read it either. And I get so when I see that too much and then I see a negative review, I'm like, oh yeah,
you
there
look
we
firm
go.
and you're like, yeah, no. No, I've seen that all over the place. I've seen Book Lovers. I've seen Beach Read. It's like, I want to read these now.
Yeah.
I'm not going to touch them. Yeah. How did you feel about it though? Did you like it?
I liked it a lot. Okay. I think I gave it a 4 out of 5.
Nice.
It's very like it's giving like broody, disgruntled man who lives next door, like forced proximity kind of trope. And but I think Emily Henry does a really good job because oh my god, it kind of reminds me of Beef on Netflix. But the female main character, like her father died and it changed a lot of things. She found out a big secret and it really affected, like she thought she had this great relationship and it felt like everything was a lie. And they're both authors and she was going through a bunch of stuff and he's got his own stuff going on. It was very, very cute. Very satisfying. Pretty spicy, I'd say. It was super hot. Yeah. Oh, it was so good. I did not mind it at all. I would recommend that one for any other Emily Henry. Like if you haven't read her yet or if you're looking to read her, that would be a good one to start off with, I think. And I think that freaking takes it in. I didn't even count how many I had. Oh, so the best one that I read was definitely... that's hard. I'd probably say Daughter of the Forest is the best one. I haven't been into like this level of high fantasy. I haven't read anything like it in a very long time. I think the last thing that I read that made me this excited was Throne of Glass.
Yeah, that was solid.
Oh god, solid
series.
and then the worst that I read was. Are you surprised? I have some questions for you.
No.
So, we're going to be back. We're going to take a little break.
We'll be back with our Icks.
Wet my whistle. I'll be right back. All right, everyone. Welcome back.
Hi.
That was a long break.
It was like multiple hours.
Had a little coffee break. Had a little socializing siesta.
Little book break.
How far along did you get? You read like 100 pages or so?
No, like 60.
60? Oh, not bad.
I'm currently reading You by, hold on.
Who's the author?
Caroline Kepnes.
Which
has inspired the TV show on Netflix with Penn Badgley.
When you read the book, do you see Penn Badgley?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That was chosen well?
Yeah. Ooh. And I can like hear his dialogue.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I think they did a good job. I mean, it doesn't really describe him, but I think he plays the character well.
That makes a difference.
Yeah.
I'm glad he auditioned and got it.
Me too.
I've watched season 1, but I haven't watched the rest of it. Yeah?
It's a good show.
I would probably revisit it.
You should.
All right, people. So I just wanted to talk to Corinne about one other topic. And I got this idea just from browsing Instagram. And I thought it would just be a nice thing because we read so many books and there are some things that like we just don't, we have our preferences. Because now that I say it, because an ick to us could be what's the opposite of an ick? It's like another
win.
It could be a win for someone else.
Yeah.
So we just want to talk about book icks and if possibly we have any like real life icks too. I feel like my book icks are my life icks on the same note. Is that weird? It relates somewhat.
I mean, some of them can relate. It depends what it is.
Do you want to go first?
Sure, I'll give one of the
Okay. I have two.
This is the worst of. Oh, I have multiple. I have like 6.
Jesus.
Oh, yeah, I thought about this.
Okay.
Number 1. I'm different from other girls and shaming of other women in books. So when I was recapping what I read in March, one of the books that I reread was Marked, which is the House of Night series. And I read that like in middle school, high school. And when we were shopping at Green Hand Books the other day, I found those books and I was like, oh my gosh, what a throwback. I'm going to buy this and I'm going to reread it. I loved these books.
Yep.
So I bought 4 of them, like the first 4 in the series. I think there's like 8 or 12. There's a lot. I reread the first one and man, it did not age well at all. A lot of it was like, I'm different from other girls. Then calling other women like derogatory terms because of their, their freedom in intimacy and whatnot. And, not only that, and like, I'll just say it, like slut shaming people, but it also talked about like comparing some of these other girls to like, she looks like Paris Hilton with like bulimia or something. I was like, oh my gosh.
God.
No, it got worse. Like as I read it, I was like, wow. So that was a major ick. And I've read other books that have gone along those lines, but not as bad as that. In fact, when we did the recap for the books we read in 2022, I mentioned one of the books I didn't like, which was called A Flicker in the Dark.
Okay.
And that was like a mystery, crime, suspense, like whodunit.
Yeah.
And I did not like the main character because she was like that. She's like, I'm not like other girls. Like, I don't like these other women. They're like,
oh, God.
They try too hard and all this stuff. And it's like, I can't even.
Doesn't age well. That's also like a generational thing too.
Yeah. So that's a big one for me. I read that and I'm like, wow.
I'm doing some light research. I'm looking for the name of who was the neighbor who lived across the street from Elizabeth. What was her name
what
in
book
Lessons in Chemistry?
Oh,
was it Margaret?
No.
Okay. Harriet.
Yes, Harriet Sloane.
I don't know why I was thinking of that, but
Sloane?
Yeah, you're right. But that is literally my first ick.
Harriet Sloane?
No, yours. I put women tearing down other women.
Can't stand it.
It's terrible. So
terrible.
The instance where what I was referring to was Miss Frask, the secretary.
Oh yeah.
And how in that book she was continuously, of course, later on in the book you learn that she kind of went through the same kind of shaming and abuse that Elizabeth went through. But the first thing that came to my head when it came to women tearing down women is like, there's already enough like obstacles that we have to get through just by being a woman. Like, what is the purpose? Like, I don't understand the logic behind doing that for no reason at all. And not only just in Lessons in Chemistry, but that was one that I felt like could be extrapolated to real life too, because when I see, even like at work or seeing like on social media, like people just choose, or women just choose to be like nasty and mean to other women, or even just people in general. What's the point of that? Why does it feel good for some women to like bring down and shame and like make other women feel bad? Why do people do that in the first place?
I don't know. But those were in the books back then. What book did you read it in?
The ones that I was thinking, not the I wonder if you can
other than
tease
lessons
this.
in chemistry, because it just turned it around.
Yeah, can you I wonder if you can tease this from my brain, but it's kind of in that. It's not Pretty Little Liars. It's
I don't know if I can help you there.
There's this one that I remember reading in like 7th grade, and it was the cover of it was like pink and plaid.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't remember the name of it.
I don't remember the name either.
The Click Girls or
something like that. Yeah, The Click or something like that.
I know. I think a lot of books back then had that.
Yeah.
So when I reread that book, I was like, wow, that's I don't like this main character.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you just
Are you gonna finish it?
Yeah, I guess.
You think
I'll
so?
try. I don't know.
Yeah.
On the fence.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
That's a big one though.
That's a big one.
And you had that too. Okay.
I had that too. You give me another one, because my other one is kind of
here we
similar
go.
to that.
I'm not going in order. I'm going from least to most controversial.
Okay.
When there's a movie poster on the book cover. The absolute silence. I don't want to. I think you're like that too, or I've known someone else to be like that. Like if I'm, for example, getting Me Before You.
Yeah.
I don't want the book cover.
No.
I want the cover that like came out with the book.
Oh, 100%. Did that kill you to buy that?
I'm currently holding up You by Caroline Kepnes. I mean, like, this one's not too bad, but I don't know. I feel like that's an ick for me.
Yeah, now that I think of it,
the original cover, that's what I'm getting.
Yeah,
but it was a bargain buy. Come on, it's $6. Like,
that's a very niche ick.
Oh, I got more.
That's like a very like book lover ick.
Yeah.
Can you give me another one before I give you mine?
Yeah. Here's another one. Real people on the covers of books. I'm talking like shirtless men. Can't stand it. I don't want that fucking book. Oh, excuse me. It's okay. I'm so passionate about that. I don't want that book.
You know what's so funny?
I don't like when there's real people on there.
Yeah, I'm thinking of like the Hot and Stevie section where it's like cowboys.
I don't like that. No. Now, like the one you were reading, the witches one, where it's like cartoony, like an illustration.
Yeah,
I don't mind that.
Yeah, I don't mind that either.
But when it's like a photograph of like
a man's body,
real people with their face included or without, I don't want it.
That's interesting.
I don't know why. I don't want it.
Maybe I feel a little bit of that because when I posted that I was reading Consider Me,
I hope you questioned yourself.
I felt ashamed.
You should have.
So I took a screenshot of the Fable cover because it didn't have the body on it.
Oh my
And then
God.
I was like, because I didn't want to post the real cover because I was like, this is kind of like sus.
Yeah.
I was like, someone's gonna be judging me. I didn't realize it would be you.
I mean, it's like a personal thing for me. Like,
Yeah.
I don't like that. You know,
I love that.
as a cover lover, I think part of it is that I'm a cover lover. Like, I don't want photographs of people on there. I don't care if it's like, where the crawdads sing, like it's a photograph of like nature, or the most fun we ever had. It's like of a house.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
okay. But like when
People.
you take a photograph of people, I don't know what it is. I don't want to read it.
So does A Little Life turn you off?
No, not so much, because you know what? That's an exception because it's like kind of like artsy.
I was about to say it's kind of artistic.
Artsy,
Yeah.
but it's a very artistic photo. It's not just like some shirtless guy that I could like that's on like 50 other books,
or like a couple like about to make out.
Yeah, no.
You know what? I'm gonna, for your birthday, I'm gonna have like an opposite day. Like all the things that you hate instead of love.
Yeah, that's why we're going over this. All right, your turn.
Okay. Mine was a book trope that I feel like
Jesus.
is kind of in a lot of what I assume to be coho books. Should I say so
Just say it.
Coho?
That's an ick for me.
That's kind of an ick. Yeah, that's kind of an ick.
Don't recommend a Colleen Hoover book to me. Okay, I read Verity. It was good. I read It Ends With Us. Was okay. There's a lot of issues with her books. She's kind of problematic. Like, her books are messed up. I think there's like dark themes and like kind of taboo stuff in there. And like, I felt like It Ends With Us, that glorified abuse. I felt.
Interesting.
I felt it was problematic.
Interesting.
And then there's just like freaky stuff in her books.
Colleen Hoover, the Colleen Hoover ick is more than just her books in general. I feel like it's her fans, and her like fan base is so obsessed like with her, and it's almost like it becomes like a part of someone's personality to love Colleen Hoover books.
That's part of the ick for me too.
Good, I'm glad.
Yes, it's the following. It's like the blind obsession.
Yes, the worshiping
following. Like, I can read someone's books, like Sarah J. Maas.
Yeah,
I like her books, but I can definitely see where there are plot holes.
Yeah,
where things could have been done better. Where things didn't make sense. I'm not just like kind of blindly in love with what she puts out.
And with her fans, she can do no wrong. She's the best author to come of this generation, and there's no other. And I feel like along with that, a more specific ick in regards to that is, weirdly, I feel like being someone who reads or being a reader gal like on social media right now is kind of it's being glorified and almost going towards trendy now, which is that's actually a huge ick for me. Like, a bunch of girls that I follow that have like kind of big followings are like, I'm in my reader girl era, and like, just like, you don't really love reading that. You're just picking everything that's kind of you don't really have an interest in anything. You're just, and what's because of what's popular right now, of course, Colleen Hoover that's like people's introduction to actually like getting into reading. And they're like, it makes everything seem like she's like the baseline. Like, all of her stuff is 5 out of 5 and so awesome and perfect. What bothers me
about it is that there's more out there than Colleen Hoover.
Yes, exactly.
And I'm not, like, everyone has their own way of getting into reading. Like, for some people it's Harry Potter. For some people it's, what have you. Some people it's Colleen Hoover, and, that's fine. But I do think you need to dig deeper than just Colleen Hoover. Like, that's not the ceiling for what's out there. Yeah. Like, it's really not. You can't,
people that are like, trying to like make these posts and these ratings of like all her books, and they're like, oh, it was the best book I've ever, I don't know. I guess because we have read like a lot of books over the years, and
there's so much variety.
We know there's so much to do. Like, you should expand your mind a little bit, expand your genre, like, go, and this isn't the end all be all. Maybe we just need to like welcome them into just some new media. I
think it's okay to like her books, but it's the blind following, and it's the content. Like, I think there's some messed up stuff in there, and maybe I haven't read it all, but between the two I've read, I'm like, it's pretty twisted.
I think I've read a little bit of it. It Ends With Us, and then I will forever die on this hill of like reading Ugly Love, because that was the one that was glorified for me first. And
no one talks about that, and reminders of him.
Yeah, and reminders of him. Like, and the trope that is annoying to me is like,
you can spoil it. I won't.
Oh, okay.
Go for it.
And everyone does it in their own way, where it's like this kind of like unapproachable, kind of like standoffish guy who's like watching the girl, and she thinks that I don't like him, or he doesn't like me, and this and that, and then he's like secretly lusting over her, and then eventually like they get into a hot, steamy relationship, and then they just want to be just friends, but still,
So
be with each other.
Original, not unique.
Not unique at all. Mm-hmm. And it was very like it was cringy to me to read it because I had high expectations, all of these like people shoving Colleen Hoover down my throat. So immediately that turns me off to the person. That reminds me of like, I'm glad I was pleasantly surprised with Emily Henry, but what you were saying, I feel like you feel the same about Christina Lauren.
Oh God. Yeah. So top 3 books, like you mention them. I just don't want to read them.
Yep.
In fact, like I'm not going to read them.
Yeah.
Colleen Hoover, Emily Henry, Christina Lauren. No, I'm sorry. There's better books out there. I have read 2 Colleen Hoovers, Verity and It Ends With Us. Good. Not bad.
Not worth.
But nothing special.
Yeah.
One Emily Henry, The People We Meet on Vacation. Good. Not bad. Nothing special. And then Christina Lauren, I think I only read one, and that was Something Wilder. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. Horrible. Didn't like it. That was trash.
Absolutely
foul. It was absolutely foul. I never want to read these books. So don't come at me with these authors. It angers me.
And
get better recommendations. Get better taste.
Follow
please.
other people who have a more diverse kind of like, genres that they like. That's why I love book club. Like we said, we always say we get exposed to like things we never would have dabbled in. And again, that can help kind of...
It makes me so angry. Get better taste.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, everyone. If I'm offending you, I'm sorry. I've heard it too many times. Give me an opinion that I haven't heard before.
Yeah.
Give me a book that not everyone's shouting on Instagram, TikTok, whatever form of media. Like,
there's a lot more. And maybe, it's basically the new readers that are coming into the mix that, they see all these aesthetically pleasing posts with her books.
I mean, the pictures are pretty.
I'm they are pretty.
The covers?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. But that's it.
The content within.
Yeah.
Foul. No.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't worry.
It's not great.
And I'm like, oh, God, because there's a book talk section in Books A Million, and there's a Colleen Hoover section in Books A Million, too.
I walk right by that Colleen
I know.
Hoover
sometimes
section. I don't know why.
I just send a fart down that aisle.
At first I was intrigued, and then I was just like, I don't know, and I have found great books through Book Talk in the Book Talk section, but I don't fully like trust and believe in what I see there because like sometimes it really is overrated.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
Sometimes there's some good books there.
And I'm a pretty open-minded gal.
Yeah.
But when something is like freaking slapped in my face like over and over and over, that just turns me off to it for sure.
And then you read it and you're like, this is what all the fuss was about? I wasted my time.
Absolutely wasted
You know how
time.
many books I could have read?
Oh my God. Okay.
All right, I got another one.
You got another one.
Might be controversial.
Say it.
But I hate this. The pregnancy trope.
Oh, you do hate that.
The second that happens in a book, I'm going to close it. No, just kidding. I mean, I'll keep reading it. But like that happened in spoiler, skip if you
maybe 5 minutes ahead.
Skip to 5 minutes ahead if you don't want to hear a spoiler for a fantasy series written by Sarah J. Maas. Okay, say
Here
we go. When that happened in Akatar, like what? First of all, okay, this happened in several books I've read, and it makes me so mad. She's like 20-something, got an immortal life ahead of her, and she's gonna get pregnant within the first year of being with this guy. Like they're not gonna spend time together and get to know their relationship together and know who she truly is before she's going to jump into being pregnant. I'm sorry. That does not further the plot line for me. And then it was just like, oh, we're not going to tell her that it's a danger to her life. No, I'm sorry. I love Sarah J. Maas's books, but that was highly problematic for me. Highly problematic. And I could admit to that. But I didn't like that. I mean, It Ends With Us. She got pregnant in that. And I understand that was part of the plot, and it truly did drive the plot. However, I just don't enjoy that trope. It was good in Lessons in Chemistry.
Yeah,
that was okay because it was about her being a single mom.
Yeah,
but I'm not like, I don't like when that's in a book for the most part. It turns me off because I don't know why. It's just like I don't know how to put words to it, but I feel like it's like there's more to a female character than getting pregnant. Let's not make this about that.
Yeah. And it's so funny because consider me, spoiler alert as well.
Oh, I'm not going to read it if she gets pregnant.
Okay. Can I spoil it?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's so funny because I recommended it to my friend
Gross.
Allison, and she read it, and when she reviewed it, she was like, yeah, I enjoyed the steamy scenes and stuff, but she said the same thing as you. She's like, but I could have done without the pregnancy at the end.
Automatically, sometimes it just takes the book from a higher rating to a lower one for me.
Honestly did for me because it didn't need that to like complete the book, and it was meant at the end to be like a cute like addition to it, like, oh, look at this note. But it did not give that. I was like, you could have ended it right here and it would have been maybe a 4.5 out of 5 for me. But then at the I was just like, there was no need for that to be
and
there.
This might be controversial, but not everyone needs children in their lives and their relationship to fulfill it. I'm just going to put that out there. So why do you have to make it seem that way when you put it in a book?
Yes. And yeah, it's funny you say that. Did you watch Love is Blind?
I mean, there's multiple seasons, right? I saw the first one.
I saw the first one. So Cameron, the one who's he just posted something on Instagram because him and his wife keep getting messages because they had a reunion. Yep. And the host, whoever Nick Lachey's wife is, was asking every single couple, so what's the next step? When are you going to get pregnant? When are you guys going to have kids?
I hate that.
And he made a post saying that, he's like, just to be real, like, it is never appropriate to ask someone like what they're like, even if they're in a married couple, even if they're not married, like, it's a sensitive subject, like, to just straight up ask someone like, oh, so are you going to have kids? Do you want kids? Do you want that? Because he was explaining like they are just, living life. They want to enjoy themselves and take their time. And they said like when the time is right, but yet they've addressed it so many times, but they keep asking.
It must get frustrating.
It must get frustrating. And then he was like, you have no idea like if those people are like trying to get pregnant and struggling, or maybe have you considered the fact that they don't want kids, which is exactly fine. And
you know what I hate more than anything?
Yeah. What?
You'll change your mind.
Oh no, we need to end the podcast. Oh my God.
Maybe I won't. And I don't hate this trope because like currently my partner and I don't want children. It's not because of that. Okay. Because I, in the past, I, had considered the possibility of family and maybe wanted one. And I still didn't like that trope. I just think it's part of it is maybe because we're asked so frequently.
Yeah.
When are you going to have kids? When are you going to have kids?
Yeah.
And it's like,
it's not.
I get it. And, I think it can be very fulfilling for some people. And I'm not poo-pooing that at all.
Yeah.
I think, whatever makes you happy is what makes you happy. And that's all that matters for you. But it's not the same for everyone. It's not equal for everyone. And it's not a requirement. And I feel like more and more people are coming out, saying that they don't want children. And that's okay.
That is okay.
I know plenty of people of all ages.
Yeah.
I'm talking couples that have been together for a long time and are like nearing, retirement age, like in their 60s that
have enjoyed their lives up to this point. And that I think it's just the notion that women or families aren't complete without the thought or like at least giving kids a try. Like that's not an assumption that anyone other than that person and their partner can consider. Like that's not it's not your place to be like asking that or anything like that. And then
just to do it because it's expected of you.
Oh yeah, that's problematic.
That is an injustice to you, and that's an injustice to your children.
Yeah.
Period.
Don't do that, please.
Please don't. So when it's in a book, sometimes it does not serve the plot and it just takes away from it. And oh man, when it was in Akatar, oof, I was just like, oh. I knew it was going to happen because I saw some spoilers, but still, I was like, oh, come on.
Yeah, the fact that they hid it from her. Yeah.
Like, come on. They hid it from her, and then on top of that, like, we didn't get a lot of time with them together as a couple without that. Because
I read it 2 years ago, so I'm trying to remember.
She's gone through so much like struggle, poverty, survival, basic needs, trying to just meet those. And then she comes into this new world and she's swept into war, more struggle. And then immediately, a little bit of peacetime, right? A little bit of peacetime, but a lot of tension. So we got all these factors and, people trying to suss out how things are going to go. And, now I'm pregnant. And no one's going to tell me that it's a life-threatening pregnancy. Like, that's very problematic.
That's Moss.
You think she really got to know who she is in all of that? I don't think so.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, I think a lot of people found issue with that. And I just really highly dislike that trope. It's not a good one for me. And then my last one is when the series is not complete.
Oh,
I don't want to read the books. Okay, I don't want to get invested. What if then not have some kind of resolution?
What if it's complete, but there's still no resolution?
That's okay.
That's okay.
Because then I know that's maybe not, I don't know if I'd say okay. It's better. That's better. An improvement, right? Okay. Because I know there's, not going to be anything else.
Yeah, like regardless of how it ends, that's finality.
That was the intentional ending.
Exactly. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's the word.
That was the intentional ending. And I feel the same way about TV shows. I don't like when I watch a TV show and, oh no, we didn't get the next season renewed. I guess we're going to have to run with this ending. And it's like, that's it?
Yeah.
That's where you're going to leave these characters. So that's why I'm not going to read Name of the Wind. If you've been waiting for another book and it's been
for
so
decade.
many years, I am not going to get invested because I get invested.
I understand.
Yeah. I'm not just like a casual reader.
Yeah.
In that sense, like I get attached.
Yes, I think that's a thing too. And again, throwing it back to the coho and the trendy reader ick, I think that most of these readers who are just jumping on are just casual readers and they don't want something that is super meaningful. So maybe that's why coho tickles that bone in them, that it's kind of trendy, but also there's no real attachment going on. I have one final ick. It's an in-person ick.
Okay. I don't know if I have any of those.
Actually not in person, but something that people do.
Okay. It's a real life ick.
It's a real life ick. All right. And this is my last one. I don't like when people, I talked about this on the other podcast. I don't like when people are way too open about their personal lives on social media.
Okay.
For example, I have an old colleague of mine back in Florida. This woman she must be going through something. I know what she's going through because she discloses it. But the second layer to that is I don't like when people post photos of themselves crying.
Don't look at me.
I know. I don't know
what to say to that.
So, post photos of themselves. So one,
I don't know
that woman posted photos. Hand in hand with that is trendy TikTok when COVID was still a thing, aesthetic, Instagram influencer nurses propping up their phone and in the ER they put their face in their hands and they're just
slide down the wall.
Yeah. It's hard being a healthcare hero. This is the work of the heart is not, it's not for the lighthearted, but I will persevere through and I'll do this for your families, all that kind of shiz. And also to add another layer to that, celebrities too, posting themselves crying. Kate, for example, what's her name? John Legend's Chrissy Teigen. Remember when she lost her baby?
Oh God. No, I'm going to be honest here. I'm on social media, but I stay off a lot.
That's good.
Quite a lot. So I don't get involved in these things.
This triggered me because she posted a photo of her holding her deceased child who died during childbirth with tears streaming down her face. and then one of the nurses in the background doing something. And I was like, in my head, like, what gratifies you at such a sorrowful, like, depressing time? What makes you decide? And it looked like the nurse, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, it looks like she was strategically put there to be doing something. What gratifies you to tell whoever you're in the room with, maybe John Legend or whoever, maybe her other kid, like, hey, like, I'm crying right now. Let me hold this. Can you take a picture of me right now? I need to, like, share this, like, with everybody. Same with the crying thing, too. Like, the picture was like, I'm going to make a facial expression. You guys won't be able to see, but she was like, with, like, tears streaming down her face. And the caption was like, I don't know what to do anymore. Why would you ghost me after all these years? Like, it was something like that. And I'm like, oh my God, Jesus, something's going on. And I know, like, social media and Facebook, I guess, like, it's meant to be a resource, I guess, and bring people together. And maybe someone is, like, so alone that they have to, like, reach out in that capacity. But man, I was cringing pretty hard. I was like, dang, this she's bearing her soul out to the entire world. And it was like, this probably would have been better in a private message. It was not a thing for me.
Yeah, I don't know what to say to any of that. You know, I don't know. I feel like that's a tough one.
Yeah.
I feel like with, like, social media, for some people it's therapeutic. For some people it's a way, like you said, to connect with, like, family and friends. And I don't know. It's
everyone's going on their own journey.
Everyone's on their own journey, and everyone processes things differently. And that's not how I choose to process things.
I agree.
Yeah,
definitely one of my niche things too. I see that, and then I just, like, put my phone down. Like, yeah, it's time for me to get some air. Maybe I'll open a book or read or something.
As far as social media goes, sometimes I feel like it's
an entity in itself.
It is, and I feel like sometimes we need to just unplug.
Yeah,
because it's not very beneficial sometimes.
Yeah,
most times, actually, I'll say it's not beneficial.
Yeah, it's good to go out and touch grass sometimes.
Yeah,
you're
just gonna unplug from that.
Live in the real world.
Yes. Read a book.
Read a book without pregnancy tropes.
Please.
Go to our respective Instagrams and you can find some really good recommendations. And you can find the ones that we didn't like too. You know what I mean?
A variety of books.
Yes. There's
not just one genre, many genres.
Whatever you're in the mood for.
I don't read a lot of that. I'm sorry.
Oh, me neither. That's like my one that I don't.
Not a nonfiction reader. It's my weakness.
I don't read a lot of nonfiction, and I don't read a lot of, like, horror suspense.
I like that stuff.
You like that?
That's
I used to be a thriller kind of gal.
Yeah, lately I've been reading a lot of, like, fantasy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
But I do like horror.
I was about to say horror scares me, but, you know, that's kind of a...
That's the point.
Oh, God.
They're doing their job.
All right, Corinne, last thing I want to ask. So we have Bad Cree by Jessica Johns coming up for our next book club pick.
Yes.
Is there any other book that you're looking forward to right now that you're thinking about starting? Or, like, what you're excited to read next?
You know, it's funny the way I operate. What a sentence.
Oh, yeah?
Starter.
Oh, yeah?
I don't think multiple books ahead of time. Usually the way I do it is I'm reading one. Mm-hmm. And as I get closer to the end of that book, sometimes I think about what I have on my shelves and what I have. Like, I have a pile of books I'm borrowing.
Okay.
I think about what's in there and what am I in the mood for. And I used to have it, like, pre-planned ahead of time. Mm-hmm. Like, as I was starting one book, I was thinking about the next. But lately it's been reading a book, seeing how I feel about that book, like, and what do I need? Like, I don't usually stick to one genre, and I'll do, like, fantasy, then I'll do a this, then I'll do a that, like, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I'm going to read next, because I'm currently reading, I went from, like, a beautiful heartbreaking but fulfilling fantasy book to now reading about a stalker, like a thriller. I don't know what I'm going to read next. I think it's going to depend how this goes because it's about 400 pages, and
it's
I
pretty
am
long.
Yeah, I'm like 126 pages in, so I mean, there's quite a bit left. But I think, I mean, in the near future, what I want to read, what I look forward to reading, is I gotta look up the title. Everyone, please help.
I know what I want.
It's called The Adventures of.
Talk about cliffhanger, bro.
And then the pod just ends right there. So, The Adventures of Amina Al-Sirafi by Shannon Chakraborty. And it is about a female pirate.
Oh, shoot.
And it looks like it's a series. I'm looking forward to that. I'll read it at some point. What about you?
Definitely interested in starting Bad Cree. I really hope this one is better than the last book because we need something good to talk about. So definitely Bad Cree. If you guys want to, you can follow Lone Pine Book Club on Instagram at
and
Lone Pine
Fable
Book Club, and join us on Fable. There's a link there where you can read with us and comment with us along while we get through the chapters. But I'm not gonna lie. What I'm looking forward to reading is something that could possibly be overhyped. And I might give into the hype depending on where I am in my book buy.
Can we say it together on three?
Yeah.
One, two, three. The fourth wing. I knew it.
By Rebecca Yarros. Okay, but look, the only thing that I'm hesitant about is if this is, it says it's an incredible and lush fantasy with a touch of romance. But if these characters are in high school, I don't think I want it. I'm not in the mood for like a high school. Oh, or college. Okay, they're college kids. Okay, I can deal with that. Not me pretending like I'm in college and that's my age now.
Oh, yeah. I'm that age. You know, interestingly enough, I've been seeing a lot of hype about it as well. Looking on Goodreads right now in this moment at 5:06 p.m. Only 827 ratings.
Okay.
Doesn't seem like a lot. 4.82 stars, which is a lot. It could change as more ratings roll in, but
yeah.
Wow.
4.8 is pretty high.
Yeah, but just less than 1,000 ratings.
Yeah.
I've seen books with more ratings, but less hype. It makes you wonder.
Yeah. Can you do me a favor?
Yeah?
Look up what A Little Life got.
You keep pushing this book on me. I'm just not going to read it.
I know. I can't push you too hard.
People pushing on books.
I know.
Hard. I just, I'm not.
But at least it's not on Instagram. It's from me.
Going to read.
You like mine.
Yeah, but you pushed Pachinko on me. I don't think I was ready to read it, and it ended up not doing so hot.
Yeah. I got to read your moods better next time.
453,708 ratings. 2 stars.
You're lying, bro. Oh my God. You'd not ever look at me like that ever.
4.34.
4.34. Okay. Not bad. Yeah, not bad. Okay.
What's what?
I was like,
go ahead.
What's lastly? I keep saying lastly. What's the highest rated book that you've read this year, like on Goodreads?
Oh God, I don't know. Good question. If I were to guess, looking at my list right now, maybe Daisy Jones.
Oh, really?
Oh no, that's 4.24 with over 1 million ratings.
Dang. Yeah, the amount of ratings really matters too.
Giver Stars is actually rated higher.
What about Afong Moy?
Oh, that wasn't rated well.
Oh, really?
Too well. 3.89, but it's still rocked for me.
I think, didn't Bad Cree get like 3.8, 3.9 as well?
I think so.
Okay.
Silver Flames, 4.44.
Ooh, okay. That's pretty high. All right.
Yeah, that's pretty, that might be the highest.
Okay.
Yeah, that I can see. at this moment in time, unless there's some surprise one in there that I think doesn't
you
rate
thought was
too high.
Plot twist. Everyone knows your mother is a witch. Got a 4.9.
No, I'm looking at that right now. 3.42.
Okay,
I mean, that's
there you go.
pretty telling.
What did I have some questions for you, Get?
Oh, don't make me look.
I want you to look so bad.
I'm looking. Hold on. Where'd it go? Like disappeared off my Goodreads. All right. 3.77.
Oh man,
I have some questions for Goodreads.
for these ratings.
How's that work?
No. Oh god. No, we'll talk about that one later on.
I'm
All right,
sighing.
people. I know. Ending this with a sigh. But we thank you guys for listening.
Thanks.
It's been a while. I know that was a lot of books to recap, but if any of them sounded interesting to you at all, I will make sure that I type up Corinne and I's books for the past month, because we did have some bangers. We'll put stars by the ones that were like 5 stars and all that jazz. And thanks for listening to our Icks. Let us know. I'm gonna make a post. Let us know in the comments what books you have been loving, and also if you have any Icks that you want us to know, that would be kind of cool too. We love you all, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.